Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Nakwam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashema Mashiach wa Malaki Bashai, that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai. A hearty, mighty Shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Akwaf out there, the sincere sisters that are out there on fire, zealous and diligent, and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. Shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to everybody tuning in live. Don Israel to me, Nigel Blends, HBK Ent, Yvette McKellar, Divinely Fashion, Tribe of Fire, Vernon Brody, Tribe of Judah, Aka Rectitude, The Elder, Daria Wash, Yashab Rael, Servant 144K, and everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. Breaking: U.S. Senator uses the Bible to go to war against Iran. There's a viral interview that's going out. I'm sure you brothers have seen it, between the so-called U.S. Senator Ted Cruz and the interviewer Tucker, I believe his name Tucker Carlson, huh? Right? So you have this interview going on, and we'll touch on it. And this devil, this demon, plainly said that they are literally going to use, they're using the Bible. This is what he said, right? But we all know we're going to go into what's really going on behind the scenes. But on the forefront, he said, it's our job as Americans to support the nation of Israel, right? Check that statement out. He said, it's our job as Americans and as the American military to support the nation of Israel. He's not talking about the men on the highways and byways, our wives and our children, our families. He's speaking about Amalek, man. We're going to play this, right? We're going to play this video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Awashah, and we're going to dive right into it through the spirit. Now, this is just a clip of the interview, right? Without further ado, we're going to dive right into it, right? And I want to read this precept first. I'm not going to pull it up on the screen, but I'm going to read it in the book of Psalms, right? Let's go to Psalms chapter 12, right? This Psalms chapter 12 and verse number 1. Help, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, for the godly man ceaseth, and the faithful fall from among the children of men. So the godly man is ceasing, right? Iniquity is abounding, wickedness is increasing, sodomy is at an all-time high, murder. These are the days of Noah, where the godly man ceaseth. Remember, in the days of Noah, it says that the earth was corrupt before the Most High, and the earth was filled with violence. So these are the days of corruption, iniquity abounding, violence, wars, destruction, right? It reads in verse number 2, they speak vanity, every one with his neighbor, with flattering lips, and with a double heart do they speak. And in this interview for so-called Ted Cruz, now he's a United States senator. He's one of those ancient Roman men of the Senate back on the earth. He's not a nobody, man. He's a big deal. He's a senator. He's not like your mayor. He's not like your delegate, man. He's a United States senator. Now, above this interview, it should be Psalms 12 and 2. That should be the title of it, because that's the spirit that this man was in. Right? I'm going to read it again. Psalms 12 and 2. They speak vanity, every one with his neighbor. As we go through this interview, is nothing but vanity. With flattering lips and with a double heart do they speak. We're going to find out who are they trying to flatter, right? Who are they really trying to flatter? Who is America in bed with, man? Who's the number one partner? The state of Israel, Amalek. And it says, and with a doubled heart do they speak. Because these doubles, you can barely believe anything, man, that they say. 1 minute, we don't want any war to go on in Iran. We don't want any bombs to drop. We're trying to tell the state of Israel, don't wage war in Iran. And then you find out that they're the ones that actually are orchestrating the attack. They're funding them billions of dollars every year for their missile defense system, for their nuclear arsenal, and for military equipment and training and personnel and artillery, man, to fund their Iron Dome, to perfect their aircraft carriers. But now they're the ones telling them, we told them not to attack. But then in this interview, we're going to play it, they're behind the scenes working, man. This Trump just came out and said, where is this at? Trump, not too long ago, he said, we now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran had a good sky trackers and other defensive equipment, and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived, and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than the good old USA. So why does it say we now have complete control? If this was a war that they didn't want any parts in, and if they were sincere in telling Iran, we don't want you to attack, we don't want you to invade, de-escalate the situation, don't go there, don't drop the bombs, don't hit the city, don't destroy their generals and scientists. But now you see this word we. So they were partakers in it the whole time. That's why Psalms 12:2 says, and with a double heart do they speak. And this devil has a double heart, man. Right? He has a double heart. He's a two-faced demon. Verse number 3. The Lord shall, this Psalms 12:3, the Lord shall cut off all flattering lips and the tongue that speaketh proud things, who have said, with our tongue will we prevail, our lips are our own, who is Lord over us. And that's what they're saying, man. Who's Lord over us? We're the Zionists. We're the state of Israel, right? We're going to establish a new world order. We're going to push the boundaries. We're going to take over Israel. We're going to take over Palestine. We're going to take over Iran. We're going to take over Lebanon. Who's Lord over us? Right? So the Bible speaks about what prophecies and what spirit these people are going to be into in these last days, man. Right? So let me play this. See, I thought I was showing that on the screen, but that's okay, right? But I'm gonna play this right through this. First, let me show what I was showing, right? I thought I was showing that, right? But let me just share that on the screen so brothers can see that they actually made that statement, man. Right? See that? You got somebody, whoever this is, he said, we now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. We, with a question mark. So these devils are telling on themselves, man. As if we didn't know. See, the public, they may not know. They may think that Israel is just doing this on their own. They're not backed up by America. They're they don't have any strong ties, and this is just Netanyahu and his wicked zeal, and they don't want war. But America, they've always wanted war, right? They've always wanted war. Let's get this precept real quick, right? Let's go to the book. We're going to stay in Psalms, right? We're going to stay in Psalms through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shema Mashiach wa Malak Yahushua. This Psalms chapter 120 and verse number 6. It reads, I'm going to start at 1. Psalms 120 and 1. In my distress I cried unto Yahweh, and he heard me. Deliver my soul, O Yahweh, from lying lips and from the deceitful tongue. Right? Deliver my soul from lying lips and the deceitful tongue. They've lied about our nationality. They've lied about what the Most High looks like, what his only begotten son looks like. They've lied about what the true name of the Heavenly Father is, what the name of his son is. They've lied about these current events that are going on, right? There's no greater liar than the Edomite. He is the cream of the crop, supreme liar, devil, two-faced serpent, fox, serpent, devil on the earth, man. Right? Let's read on. Verse number 3. Psalms 120 and 3. What shall be given unto thee? Or what shall be done unto thee, thou false tongue? I'm going to read that again. David said, what shall be given unto thee? Or what shall be done unto thee, thou false tongue. So that's a question. We know the answer. David said, what's going to happen to, basically, he's really talking about America. This system, the beast, what's going to be done unto thee, man? Destruction is going to be done unto thee. Bombs are going to be done unto thee. Yahweh Shah and the chariots, they're going to be done unto thee. Bloodshed and turmoil, they're going to be done unto thee. Famine and the earthquake, they're going to be done unto thee. Pestilence and the sword, they're going to be done unto thee. Widowhood and starvation, these things are all going to be done to thee. All because of the lying tongue. What shall be given unto thee, or what shall be done unto thee, thou false tongue? Sharp arrows of the mighty with coals of juniper. So that's what you're going to get, man. You're going to get sharp arrows of the mighty. Now, these arrows are really the missiles. And these missiles are really being shot from the Most High. Now you can say, well, I don't see the Most High down there. I saw Iran and I saw it. No, these missiles belong to the Most High. And Psalms, it's like in Jeremiah 50 and 25, it tells you that the Most High hath opened his armory. These are the Most High's weapons, man. These are his soldiers. These are his pawns. His rooks, his bishops, his knights, king, queen. He made the chessboard, man. The pawn has no strength on his own, man. They belong to the player. He set the pieces up. He decides the formation for the pawn, man. For the knight. Right? They got all these chess openings, man. For you brothers that play chess. The Most High, he does different openings. He can get you any kind of way. So all of these missiles belong to the Most High anyway. Those are his missiles. That atomic bomb in the 40s, that was his. The nuclear bombs, those are the Most High's. He made them and gave man the inspiration to make them. Right? Didn't the Lord say in I'm going to go back to Psalms 120. I'm going to play this. Right? I'm going to play this. But let me get this in Isaiah, the classic, right? Chapter 54. Right? The Lord said he created the waster. Isaiah chapter 54 and 16. Behold, this is Isaiah 54 and 16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire and bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. So the smith is the modern day engineers, modern day nuclear physicists, modern day scientists, atomic and nuclear engineers who build these weapons. A smith makes weapons. A blacksmith and ironsmith, they forge weapons through the fire and steel. So anybody that had a sword and a shield in the ancient world, they didn't dig that out the ground. Men made that. It was their craft, and they received payment, man. And a lot of your top blacksmith, they actually work for the government. They work for kings. They work for monarchies. They work for different princes and royalty. Just like now, these modern day engineers and scientists, they work for elite aristocracies, right? Elite rich families, the Illuminati, right? The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. So the Most High created the smith, the modern day scientist. And he created the waster, right? These missiles to destroy. Let's go to Psalms 120, and then I'm going to play this clip, right? Let's go to Psalms 120 and read where we left off. Psalms chapter 120 and verse number 3. What shall be given unto thee, or what shall be done unto thee, thou false tongue? Sharp arrows of the mighty with coals of juniper. Woe is me that I sojourn in Mesech, that I dwell in the tent of Kedar. My soul hath long dwelt with him that hateth peace. So we dwell in a strange land. And David said, my soul hath long dwelt. What's long dwelt? Over 500 damn years, man. We've been dwelling with this devil in the neck of our enemies for a long time, man. My soul hath long dwelt with him that hateth peace. And if the so-called white man didn't hate peace, then he wouldn't always be at war. Now, when you look it up, there's only, I believe, maybe a limited number of years. I don't want to give a number. I believe maybe 20, 50. You can look it up. There's only a few number of years where America has not been at war. I'm going to say that again. And I'm going to actually look it up. There's only a few number of years where America has not been involved in any war. So they hate peace. Verse number 7, Psalms 120:7. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. I'm going to read that again. I am for peace, and we are for peace, man. And we know how our peace is going to come, but we're for peace, man. We're sheep. We're plain men. We just want righteousness on the earth. I am for peace, but when these devils speak, they are for war, man. They are for war. So you can't make this up. The Bible speaketh expressly, right? It speaketh expressly. I am for peace, but when they speak, they are for war. So I'm gonna type this in. Then I'm gonna play the clip. How many years has America not been in a war? Right? We'll type that in. Let's see. Since its founding, this is the AI overview. Since its founding in 1776, the United States has experienced peace for only a small fraction of its existence. Estimates vary, but it's generally agreed that the United States has been at peace for less than 20 years, with some sources suggesting as few as 15 years. And it doesn't mean those 15 years are consecutive. It just says 15 years. This means the U.S. has been involved in some form of conflict for the vast majority of its history, right? Now, let's say America is 250 years old, right? Let's see this. Let's say it's 250 years old, right? So let's do divided by 94%. That, let's say 15 years. So 94% of America's existence, they've been at war. 6%, they've had peace. You can't make this up, man. 94%. And that's saying that America's 250 years from 1776 till now. Let's say you take 15 years off, right? So let's say you got 235 years out of 250. That's 94%. 94% of America's of their existence, they've been at war. So let's play this clip, right? Now, this is Senator Ted Cruz fails to use the Bible to justify his support of Israel. Now, this is just a clip. You can watch the whole interview on his own, but this is bad. This is bad. This is bad for an American, man. If you're an American, man, you might have your head down.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be...
This is fair use, right? This is fair use. This is not for monetary purposes, right? This is for fair use.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught.
And I'm going to pause it a lot. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to just come out and say it. I'm going to do a lot of pausing because I got to bring out these precepts. I'm going to try not to, but I am going to do that. This devil said he grew up in Sunday school, right? You got to pause on that. And that means nothing. Just because you grew up in Sunday school, that doesn't mean anything. They don't teach you anything. I had to go to Sunday school, right? We didn't learn anything in Sunday school. We had these little cards. They was about 2 by 3 like flashcards, but they were like custom made. They had these verses on them. So everybody had to stand up and read a verse, but nobody broke it down. We was in Micah. I remember we was in all these books, but nobody expounded on it. We just read it and sat down, man. They played music. You don't learn anything. Damn Sunday school.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So,
all right, you heard that. He said in the Bible, it tells you those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. Now, this is a heated interview, man. I thought they were going to fight. I thought this guy was going to walk off. I don't know how he stayed there, but then the Most High had him stay there. I almost had that thought. I almost slipped. Then the Spirit had me. I'm like, well, the Most High had him stay. Because anybody else, they would have walked off the set, man. The way that they was beefing and going at it, I thought they was going to throw hands. This was an intense interview, man. But the spirit had this devil stay up there and just keep getting chopped up.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
So he wants to be blessed, right? And I believe, I was going to say, I believe that he's sincere, right? But this devil, man, you know, this devil said he wants to be on the blessing side of things. Now, there's a lot to say about this. One, let's deal with the Bible, right? Let's deal with that first and foremost, right? Let's deal with that, right? Those who bless Israel will be blessed. That is in the Bible. He is right. That's in the Bible. And those who curse Israel will be cursed. Now, he said he want to be on the blessed side of things. Well, you fool. What if you want to be on the blessed side of things? If you want to be on the blessed side of things, first of all, you have to understand, and a lot of these devils know, some of these devils are left out. Not every Edomite knows that the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, woman, and child are the biblical Israelites. Not every Edomite knows that, right? But there are certain people that know. Now, whether he knows or doesn't know, he was left out, or maybe he knows. I'm led to believe he knows, right? But maybe he doesn't, right? I can't, some of these Edomites, don't give him all that credit. Don't give him that much credit. Now, first of all, if you want to receive a blessing, you have to bless the Israelites. And the Israelites are not the men and women and children you see in the land of Israel today. I'm going to say that again. The men, women, and children, those child molesters, those murderers, those rapists, those extortioners, and thieves, they are not the people of the Most High. They don't fulfill any prophecy of the people of the Most High. Let's get the classic. Let's get one prophecy. Right now, this could be a 10-hour lesson going into the prophecies, but let's get the fundamental verse that every Israelite should know when they come into this truth. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, right? Deuteronomy 28. Go get an Amalekite. That's all you need, man. All you need is Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. You don't have to go into, let's go into the book of Daniel, the 70 weeks, or let's go. You don't need that. You don't need that. This man said he wanted to be on the blessed side of things. I almost plucked my beard out. But let's prove that these people in the land of Israel, now, let's pull them up. Well, I'm not going to pull it up. Amalek, they're not the people of the Lord. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. That's speaking about slavery on ships. The transatlantic slave trade, primarily. You have other slave trades, of course. You have the Silk Road slave trade, the East African slave trade. You have the Sub-Saharan slave trade. But this predominantly is speaking about the transatlantic slave trade, also known as the Middle Passage, that transported Israelites from predominantly the west coast of Africa to the islands of Central and South America, and also the southern plantations and other parts of North America. They've even went the Middle Passage. They've also went to the United Kingdom. When did the Jewish man, the Amalekite, they might flag this video. They might shut it down. When did he ever go to slavery on a ship? We had about 50 of them on a train. And all they did was work hard for a few days. And you know what I'm talking about. They was on a train. They worked a little bit and they went home. They ate and they went home. We do that every day. We work overtime. They worked a little bit of overtime back in the 40s. And they went home, huh? They stayed there, it was like a on-the-road job, and, hey, it is what it is. We were victims of a major deportation, a major slavery. There's not one Jewish individual who can speak about his family being on the bottom of a slave ship. Never happened. They financed lumber, right? They financed the materials to actually build the ships. So he said he wants to be on the blessed side of things. If you're an Edomite, you'll never be on the blessed side of things. That's number two. If you're not an Israelite, you'll never be blessed. It won't happen. You have to go through curses. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 30. You're gonna go through these curses, man. Talking about I want to be on the blessed side of things. You'll never be on the blessed side of things. It won't happen. And especially funding the biggest mass murderer on the earth, the Jewish man. But you want to be in the blessed side of things. And Esau can never get right, man. He just can't get right. What did I want? Let's go to Genesis 12, right? About being on the blessed side of things. Let's show where it says, I'm going to play this again. Let's show where it says that if you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. If you curse them, you'll be cursed.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed.
Now, that actually starts with Abraham, right? Now, let's go to Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. And the Lord had said unto Abram, make get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. That's the Lord choosing Abram, right? Abram in the Hebrew is Abraham, exalted father, right? He was the chosen father of the promise, right? Of the sons of God. Out of all of the other sons of God, the Lord was dealing with Abram. And his name was changed to Abraham, which means a father of a multitude. Let's read on. Genesis chapter 12 and 3. And I will bless them that bless thee, and I will curse him that curseth thee, and in thee all families of the earth shall be blessed. So he's looking at Genesis 12, and there's other precepts I'm going to get, where he's saying, well, if I help the Jewish man destroy the Iranians, bomb the Palestinians, bomb hospitals, murder children, rape their women, steal their natural resources, mass produce the media, which fuels nothing but lies and deception, own the music industry that promotes nothing but violence and murder, and control all manner of corporations and wickedness, then I'll be blessed, right? Make that make sense. Now, when you read Genesis 12 and 3, yes, the Most High is talking to Abraham, but it's really through a particular lineage, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And really, when you go deeper into it, it goes all the way to Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. That's what that seed is going into. Now, let's go to another account, right? So in Sunday school, they probably read on that scripture, but they didn't give them any understanding because they didn't have the understanding. We have the understanding. And we don't say that proudly. We say that confidently. We say that gratefully. That Yahweh by Yahushua, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua have opened up our minds and understanding to know this truth. And it wasn't given to everybody, right? Real quick, let's go to Matthew chapter 11, right? And I'm going to go back to this. Like I said, we got a lot. I'm only 8 seconds in, right? I am going to play this whole clip, right? Most High willing. This is the book of Matthew chapter 11 and 25, right? Matthew 11 and 25. At that time, Yahushua answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent and hast revealed them unto babes. So the truth is hid to the wise. It's hidden. Who are the wise? Senators, congressmen, right? Top CEOs, executives. They're the wise men of this world, scientists, engineers. They don't know the truth. This was given unto babes, men like me and you know, and you women that know this truth. You were given this knowledge. We represent the babes, people that are insignificant, come from the ghettos, projects, hoods, right? Impoverished conditions, curses, single family homes, projected to die by the age of 25 or be imprisoned, projected to have 15 baby fathers and 32 children and aborting babies and be on drugs, and there's really no way out. We were projected to be a statistic, to be dead, man. And to die without knowledge. Poor conditions in the school system, old books, right? Broken equipment, man. No computers, no technology, disenfranchised, separated from understanding, deprived of our language, heritage, and nationality. How could we ever understand the things that we understand if it wasn't of the Most High? So call Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shai that this guy, he has no understanding, but we have the understanding. It's a blessing from the Most High, right? So let's go back, dealing with this blessing. And blessing, I will bless thee, and cursing, I will curse thee, paraphrasing, right? Let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 27, right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 27. And actually, I'm going to just share it on the screen. I'm going to pull this back up, right? Let's do that. Let's actually share this, right? Then I'm going to pull that back up. But let's go to Genesis, the 27th chapter. So it started with Abraham, then the promises went to Isaac. Because remember, Abraham had multiple children. He had sons with Keturah, a concubine. He had a son with Hagar, Ishmael. And he had a son by Sarah, right? Isaac. And all of the promises, before I get that, all of the promises went to Isaac. This is Genesis chapter 25 and verse number 1. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimran, and Jokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shua. And Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, Letushim, and Lemummim. And the sons of Midian, Ephah, and Epher, and Hanak, and Abida, and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, all that he had. His servants, the soldiers, his wealth, his slaves, but unto the sons of the concubines, which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son while he had lived eastward into the east country. He sent them away so they didn't clash and fight and try to take Isaac. Rehoboam did the same thing, try to take Isaac's possessions. He separated his sons so you don't have feuds and internal conflict over the right to the throne, for lack of better terms, right? Rehoboam did the same thing in wisdom. But the point is, Isaac received it all. Isaac had two sons. He had Esau and Jacob. Now, the birthright and the blessing, this is Bible 101, right? The birthright and the blessing went to Isaac, to Jacob. It didn't go to Esau. Right? This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 3, and verse number 16. And unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac also thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee, and put by Esau. So Jacob became a great multitude. So Esau got put on the back burner. He got put by, right? And Jacob was chosen. So yeah, we read in Genesis 12 that the Most High was talking to Abraham. Whoever blessed you is going to be blessed. Whoever cursed you is going to be cursed. And in thy seed shall all families of the earth be blessed. Now we're going through that seed. It started with Abraham, then a seed of the promise went to Isaac, and then a seed of the promise went to Jacob. And from Jacob, it went upon the 12 patriarchs, right? Let's get that in Ecclesiasticus, right? So we have to go through this history. We got to break this down, right? Because in Sunday school, like he said, that's what he was taught, but they're not going to tell you that, man. They're not going to break these scriptures down to you. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 44 and verse number 23. And made it rest upon the head of Jacob. He acknowledged him and his blessing, and gave him an heritage, and divided his portions among the 12 tribes. Did he part them? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and then the 12 tribes. If you bless the 12 tribes, you'll be blessed. If you curse, if you curse the 12 tribes, you'll be cursed. Now you tell me, what nation blessed Israel? What nation blessed Israel? And when I say Israel, let's make this abundantly clear. I'm talking about the true Israelites, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, woman, and child of Negro and Indian descent, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Who blessed us, man? I still got to go to work tomorrow. You do too. We still got bills, mortgage, rent, expenses, captivity, pain. Who blessed us, man? What did the Edomites do it? Did the Moabites do it? The Moabites in Numbers 22, they were one of the first ones to curse us. Amalek was the first one to come against us, man. Esau threw up curses. None of these nations have ever blessed us. So there's no way that Ted Cruz is going to be on the blessing side of things. It's impossible. The Lord said in 1 Maccabees 2:10, what nation hath not had part in her spoils? Right? 1 Maccabees chapter 2:10. What nation hath not had part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? So everybody has had some skin in the game when it came to oppressing and robbing the Israelites. Now, ultimately, going back to that seed line, let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 27. All right. This is the blessing that the Most High gave Isaac that he would give unto Jacob. Right. Genesis chapter 27 and verse number, let's see, it's like 27. Genesis 27 and 20, I'll get straight to the point. And verse 29. Let people, here's the blessing for the true Israelites. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. So when Ted Cruz is talking about, I want to be in the blessed side of things, he's thinking about these precepts that we're going into. And the world thinks, due to wickedness and witchcraft, the world thinks that these verses that we're reading about Israel and Isaac and Jacob, they believe that this really talking about the Amalekites, the so-called Jew, right? This man, right? That's who they want you to believe that Genesis 27 is talking about, but it's really talking about you and I, right? Now, let's go back to this interview. First, let's get Galatians real quick. Let's get that. Galatians, the 3rd chapter. Just one more precept diving into that seed. Genesis chapter 3 and verse, it's like in Galatians, right? Galatians chapter 3 and verse number 14. That the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through Yahushua HaMashiach, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. And the Gentiles are speaking about Israelites who live like Gentiles, who think like Gentiles, who ate like Gentiles, right? Who dress like Gentiles, Israelite foreigners. Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be but a man's covenant. Yet if it be confirmed, no man disannulleth or addeth thereto. Right? When covenants are made, if you have witnesses, a covenant mill, all of a token, a sign, all blood shed, you can't add or take away from that covenant. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He said, and to seeds as of many, it's like you. Let me read this again. Galatians 3:16. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He said not, and to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is Hamashiach Yahushua. You see that? So in thy seed shall all families of the earth be blessed is really talking about through Yahushua. When Yahushua will come on the scene, when he would reestablish control on the earth through destruction and through salvation of the children of Israel, all families of the earth will be blessed. Now, really, all families of the earth is speaking about the Israelites. We're going to be blessed. We have blessings stored for us and the other nations that have curses. How could the Edomites be blessed and the Moabites when they have to go through the curses in Deuteronomy chapter 30 and 7? See, there are families of Israelites, right? There are families of Israelites. So when it says all families of the earth, yeah, you have the Moabites, the Edomites, the Ishmaelites. They are families, but that's really going into the Israelites being blessed, right? Now, in process of time, first let me get this. This is Jeremiah 31:1. At the same time, said the Lord, will I be the God of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. So Judah's a family. Manasseh is a family. Ephraim is a family. Simeon is a family. Benjamin is a family. All families are all the families of Israel. Right? We're going to be blessed. Go to Genesis 35. Right? Genesis chapter 35 and verse number 11. And God said unto him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. So out of the Israelites are companies, or out of Jacob will be companies of nations. Hold on. Who are the company of nations? You say, well, I thought it was just the nation of Israel. I thought it was a company of nations. The Ephraimites, the Gadites, the Asherites, the Zebulunites. These are the nations. These are the families that are going to receive the blessings all the way back from the time of Deuteronomy chapter 28, that the blessings are going to be given to those tribes, right? So now we understand what that's really talking about. Let's go to Deuteronomy 30. Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse number 7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So how are they going to be blessed if the Most High is going to put curses on them, on our enemies? Who's our enemies? Every damn body. Read Nehemiah 5 and 9, the heathen. So you can't have both. You can't say, well, in Yahweh Shai, the Edomites are going to be blessed, but they're going to be extinct. Okay, well, in Yahweh Shai, the Ishmaelites are going to be blessed, but the Most High said they're going to go through curses. You can't have blessings and curses at the same time, right? Let's go to James. It don't work like that. James chapter 3 and verse number 10. Out of the same mouth proceeded blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. So it ought not to be to have blessings and curses from the Most High. Either being blessed or you not. The Lord said, my brethren, these things ought not so to be. Doth the fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter? No, man, you either get sweet water or you get bitter water. Either getting blessings or curses, life or death. All things are two and two, one against another. Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries, either a vine, figs? So can no fountain yield both salt water and fresh. So that's plain. Plain upon tables. Either get one or the other. So let's go back to this interview, right? Let's play this, man. This damn devil, right? This is the worst. This is one of the worst interviews I've ever seen in my life.
And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the
Fuck it. Now, Tucker Carlson, he's an Edomite, right? But this is Esau against Esau. This is a United States senator. These are supposed to be the most well-respected Edomites on the earth. And you got a journalist coming at him, man. Cutting him up. He said that, you mean to tell me we're supposed to bless the government of Amalek?
Will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So
it says the nation of Israel. They're not, first of all, they never called themselves the nation of Israel. They don't even call themselves that, man. They call themselves Israelis, meaning inhabitants of that land. They don't call themselves, we're the nation of Israel. A nation is not defined by geographical boundaries, but rather a lineage of men that you descend from. So they can't be the nation of Israel if they come from Esau.
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the
You gotta hit him. You hit him with, where is that? Right? Where's that at in the scriptures? And the Most High put a spirit on Tucker Carlson, man. He's kind of dealing with him how, well, not necessarily how an Israelite would deal with him, but he's dealing with him in that same against some spirit. Like he's against him. His spirit is against Ted Cruz's spirit. That's the same thing a brother might say. He's quoting something. He said, well, where's that at in the scriptures? Right? Can you prove that? Show me that in the Bible. What brother say? Book, chapter, verse. Ted Cruz asked you the book, chapter, and the verse. So you know the Most High put a spirit on him. The Most High was working through him, man. Right? He was working through him. He asked for a book, chapter, and a verse. An Edomite asked another Edomite. This is national television. Never seen nothing like it.
That's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
Where is that? Where is that, man? Where is that at in the scriptures? Right? Can you prove that? He pressing them out. This is what you call getting pressed out. Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in John.
The nation of Israel.
Hold on. This is
So-
like, hold on. I know I'm pausing a lot, but that's all right. Right? But hey, this is like camp. This is like a camp interaction. Just watch. It's like a camp interaction.
That's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis, but
It's in Genesis. That's like camp, man. He set them up, put them in a bag, walked them down. Asked him something. He said, where is that at? I can't find it. You can look for it. It's in Genesis. Right? Hey, man, this nation is divided, man. Let's go to the book of Matthew, man. This is hilarious, man. Right? This kingdom is finished. This place is done. Right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 12. He walked them down. Right? Matthew 12 and 25, the classic. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan, Tucker Carlson, right, he's Satan too, and if Satan cast out Satan, he's Satan. He is divided against himself because they're the same person. How shall then his kingdom stand? How can you stand? How can America, this is national television. This is a United States senator. This isn't a celebrity, man. This isn't Kanye West. He's a top man of renown. And this guy probably has a master's degree. You know, this guy probably comes, from money, from wealth. He probably knows the ins and the outs of the government. And he's getting pressed out.
Perspective. I want to be on the blessing side of things.
of those who bless the government of Israel.
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel.
Right?
So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off
I could find it.
the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis, but so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology. I'm confused.
Damn. He said you're quoting a Bible verse. You don't know what it's talking about. You don't know where it's at. I'm confused. This is not the 1940s anymore, man. They wouldn't have did this to JFK, man. They wouldn't have did this to Roosevelt. There was a time where they respected these guys. See, the Most High said in 2 Ezra 15, they should not regard kings nor princes. So these senators are like princes, man. They should not regard kings nor princes. He don't care that he's a senator, man. He don't care that he can get fired and lose his job. They should not regard kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. These are the courses of his actions.
Bible phrase, you don't have context for it and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker,
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
Well, hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now
Look at this. Beefing. Right? All that was missing is a fight. But he said something. I want to touch on the point that he said.
From number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But
He said, biblically, we are commanded to support Israel. Check that out, man. Right? But we still got to go to work. We still got to pay insurance and bills. We're still in captivity. We're Israel, man. We're still in bondage. But he's saying we're biblically commanded to support the Jewish man. The Bible tells me to support the Jewish man. That's the facade that these devils set up, man. Right? That's the facade that these devils set up. Now, I'm going to play this clip. I'm going to go back to this, right? Because we're not even halfway through that, right? There's a clip I'm going to play for Vladimir Putin, right? Where is this at? Where Vladimir Putin actually came out and spoke about the Illuminati. And why would Ted Cruz come out and say the Bible teaches us to support Israel, right? Because again, that's from the so-called elites, and through this Zionist movement where they have propagated themselves as being the true biblical Israelites. Yet they fulfill no prophecy. Yet they don't even fit the physical description of the people of the Bible. There are zero archaeological proofs and evidence that can sustain that these Jewish men from Poland, Ukraine, Romania, Russia, Georgia, Caucasus Mountains are the people of the Bible. There's no evidence. There's no proof on that. All signs point to us. But through this agenda and sorcery, these devils have made the world to believe that they are the people of the Bible. And he's going to speak on that. But I want to get this quick precept. He's going to speak on that. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 18. Right? He's going to speak on that. And I'm going to go back to that clip. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 18 and verse number 23. Right? Revelation 18 and 23. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. So sorcery, like we always expound upon, it's not a woman with the long nose. She got a black hat. She flies on a broomstick and she stirs up something in the pot and she has a wand. That's not what the Bible means when the Bible says sorcery. Sorcery is through the media. Sorcery is through the education system. Sorcery is through the artwork and through religious institutions and through political institutions. All of these amalgamate the sorcery and how the nations are deceived to think that the Jewish man is the man of the Bible. All of that. All of those variables, all of those things play a major role in that. Now, you have certain people like this guy, he knows that we're the Israelites. Not too long ago, Putin actually opened up these icons and showed that the true people of the Bible are so-called black people. He did that. I believe he did that sometime last year. You can look it up on your own. And right now, he's going to speak on how these presidents aren't in control, that rich elite Edomites really run the government. And he's an Edomite saying that, huh? So let's play this. Now I'm gonna get the subtitles. I'm not gonna read this whole thing. Let's see. Okay, I'll just read this part. Vladimir Putin, men in dark suits rule the United States. He said that. Men in dark suits rule the US. What does he mean, men in dark suits? He's not talking about the FBI. Why would he say that? He's not talking about the CIA. Who are these men in dark suits that rule the United States? It ain't Trump. It ain't Cruz. These are your so-called illuministic ones, shadow government. The Bible calls them the king of Babylon. And when it says king, it's not a singular entity. There's an oligarchy, an aristocracy, rich elite families, few men that run this society behind the scenes. They do not report to the president. They do not report to any congressman. They don't abide by laws. They create the laws. They create the money. They orchestrate wars. They orchestrate doctrine. They create agendas. These are the men in dark suits. This is why America's actively involved in World War III. They were pulled into World War II by these same men, and they were charged to go to World War I. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to read this. Here's what Putin said. When a person is elected, they may have some ideas. Then people with briefcases arrive, wearing dark suits. These people start explaining how things are done, and instantly everything changes. You see that? Right? So let's play this.
Понимаете, я уже общался и с одним президентом США, и с другим, и с третьим. Президенты приходят и уходят. Понимаете, я уже общался и с одним президентом США, и с другим, и с третьим. Президенты приходят и уходят, а политика не меняется. Знаете почему?
He said the president, he spoke to 3 presidents. They come and go. You know, this guy been king, and he's a king. He's like an ancient czar, like Ivan the Terrible, Peter the Great. He's one of those ancient Russian kings, right? But he said he talked to 3 former presidents. He said the politics remain the same even though the people change, right? So the spirit of America and what their agenda is always the same no matter who the president is. And he's saying, do you know why? He's kind of leaning in. Like, I'm about to, you got to see his body language, man. Like, I'm about to put you on game. I'm going to drop a bomb, right? He said, do you know why?
Почему? Потому что очень сильна власть бюрократии.
Because of the powerful bureaucracy.
Вот человека избрали, он приходит с одними идеями, к нему приходят люди с кейсами, хорошо одетые и в...
He said people have ideas when they're president. Then people with briefcases arrive, well dressed, wearing dark suits, just like mine, except for the red tie, since they wear a black or dark blue ones. They call them power ties.
Темных, как у меня, костюмах, но только не с красным галстуком, а с черным или с темно-синим. И начинают объяснять, как...
These people start explaining how things are done. Yeah, that's true, huh? They tell you what the agenda is going to be. See, when Obama was in office, you know what they told him? Look, monkey, you're going to be the one to push the homosexual agenda, right? That I don't care about, you know, you was a lawyer, you know, you was in Chicago, you got these ideas. Look, you're going to push homosexuality on the Negroes in Detroit, Chicago, LA, Miami, and Houston, right? That's your job. And he probably, well, I have these ideas, and look, we're going to tell you how things are going to go. If you want to see your family again, you want to see your daughters again, here's how things are going to go. And that was his agenda, to push homosexuality. When Biden came into office, look, Biden, here's what you're going to do. We know you want to come hard at the niggers and put crack back in the hood, but we did that already, right? That was Reagan's agenda. You can't replicate that. Your job is to push a massive outbreak on the earth, right? That's what we want you to do. And you're going to promote that You're also going to further push the homosexual agenda. And you're gonna give Iran millions of dollars and weapons. So when your successor comes in, Trump, he's going to start World War III. And they told Trump, when you come in, here's your plan, right? Here's your agenda. All these guys have a playbook, man. You know, they all have a playbook, and you can't go off script. If you go off script, your life is in the line, man. And your children might go up missing. And a lot of these elites, man, they do secret, wicked things in the dark that these Amalekites put on them, man. They got dirt on them. You know, wicked things they've done on islands and freakism and things with children and madness and debts that they owe. So it's obligatory, right? To get down with Amalek, man. Amalek. And he knows that. All these people know that. Only people that don't know this are these Americans, man, these Edomites. Let's go to, and this is in the Bible. Let's go to Psalm 64, right? You may say, well, he's making that up. It's in the Bible. This is Psalms chapter 64, right? That's why Ted Cruz said that. See, Ted Cruz is a low-level Edomite, man. He's a low-level Edomite. That's why he said the Bible tells us to go into the land of Israel. That's part of the agenda. Where they made these people the people of the Bible, that you could think that you have to plead their cause. Now, this is Psalm chapter 64 and 1. Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. What is the secret counsel? It's not just your G7, or it's not your United Nations. Secret councils. You have councils. I'm gonna tell you this, that Trump isn't even invited to. You might have thought that he can go anywhere, man, because he's the president. You saw that Congresswoman. She was an Eve. I think she was in L.A. She was the Congresswoman. I can't remember her name, but she wanted to go into this room to check on somebody. I can't remember exactly where she was and where she went to check, but they slammed the door in her face. And she said, I want to use my congressional power. And he said, shut up, nigger woman. You don't have no power. This is above your pay grade. And they slammed the door in her face. She's a congresswoman. But even she has limits. Trump, he's a president, but there are doors that he can't open. There are rooms that he can't see. There's information that he will never be privy to. Those is what the Bible calls the secret counsel of the wicked. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, wicked high priests on the left-hand side that sacrifice day in and day out and throw things and bullocks and children in the fire to keep the power of the beast going. That deal directly with the spiritual demon Satan, man, for science and technology and war. Right? These things are happening, man. These are the secret counsels of the wicked. So let's play this. I'm going to go back a little bit.
Вот человека избрали, он приходит с одними идеями, к нему приходят люди с кейсами, хорошо одетые и в темных, как у меня, костюмах, но только не с красным галстуком, а с черным или с темно-синим. И начинают объяснять, как нужно делать. И все сразу меняется, понимаете? Это происходит от одной администрации.
He said this happens with every administration. Now, if you're a president and you want to kind of change things, they'll get rid of you, man. Lincoln, JFK, any president that was assassinated, he started feeling himself too much. And they put the hit out on this guy. All these assassinated presidents, they set these guys up, man. Because a lot of those guys wanted to change things. I believe JFK wanted to stop Israel from building a nuclear weapon. Let me see if I could actually prove that. And then not too long after, he ended up dead, man. JFK, stop Israel nuclear weapon. I believe that's what it was, or something along those lines. Right? Let's see. Okay, JFK wrote a letter strongly warning Israel against continuing to develop nuclear weapons. Only months later, he was assassinated. Right? So he kind of spoke up. Now he stepped outside. They told JFK what the program was going to be. What your life is going to be about as president. Here's your agenda. He kind of came out and said, you know what? I don't like this. I got this gut feeling. Right? Y'all shouldn't have had no nuclear weapons. Lo and behold, not too long after, he's dead. He's dead. This is real life, man. They don't talk about that. What happened to JFK? What happened to Lincoln? Lincoln spoke up about some things. A lot of these presidents, these guys, they know the law. These guys were lawyers. These guys were generals. These guys had the heart of the people. These guys were senators. These guys were well-versed, wise men, and they knew. Some of these presidents actually spoke up against the Federal Reserve, man, and said, we can't have a central bank. We can't have that. And a lot of those guys ended up dead. And they have secret meetings to override these men and pass laws against the presidents, man. There was a time when presidents actually had power. That was before the Federal Reserve Act, of course, right? But there was a time when these guys actually had power, right? And if you think you got power, Amalek is going to remind you that, hey, look, man, watch your damn mouth. So long story short, I'm not going to do an in-depth breakdown on this, right? But he didn't want them to have any nuclear weapons. It says declassified documents. Is from wilsoncenter.org, right? Declassified documents reveal that more than any other American president, JFK was personally engaged with the problem of Israel's nuclear program. This is more than any other president. They blew his damn brains out, man. Called him a nigger lover. Right? This is how we're going to kill you. You want to talk against us publicly, man? We're going to kill you publicly. They all, who killed them? Was it this guy? Was it that guy? We know who it was, man. Right? He may also have been more concerned about it than any of his successors. Of all U.S. leaders in the nuclear age, Kennedy was the non-proliferation president, right? So he was speaking up against it, man. And they took him out. They took him out. And that's why this guy, even Putin, he knows about that, man. Right? They tell you what to do. When you start getting too crazy, they tell you, get down or lay down. These things happen all the time, man. Right? And that's the witchcraft and the sorcery of Babylon the Great. See, people don't know the depths of Satan. Let's get that in Revelation, the 2nd chapter. People don't know the depths of Satan and how the society is really being ran, man. Right? This is Revelation chapter 2 and verse number 24. Right? Revelation chapter 2 and 24. Salaki, but it reads, but unto you I say, and unto the rest in Thyatira, as many as have not this doctrine, and which have not known the depths of Satan, as they speak, I will put upon you none other burden. And this was the church in Thyatira, man. So Yahweh Shai knew that the wiles and the depths of Satan, sometimes, even amongst the righteous, it goes beyond your comprehension. Right? It goes beyond. Remember, the Lord told Daniel, it's like Ezekiel prophesied and said that thou art wiser than Daniel. Because the depths of Satan and the wisdom on the left-hand side, Daniel wasn't able to comprehend that. Right? Daniel didn't know how to make a nuclear bomb. He doesn't know those things, man. So the depths of Satan run deep, man. How they run this government, how they operate. That's why this is called the seat of the beast. Right? America is the seat of the beast, and it's a puppet being operated by Amalek. Right? America is nothing but a puppet operated by the so-called Jew. Right? It's their corporation. They create the Federal Reserve. America's their corporation, their big business. Right? And Jake, you're just a cattle, man. You're just nothing. Right? You're nothing. They set you up that birth certificate, that social security number. You're just nothing, man. Right? Jake, you don't know the depths of Satan and how this devil gets down, man. Let's go to Revelation chapter 16 and 10. Revelation chapter 16 and verse number 10. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness. The seat of the beast is America, right? The beast is NATO and the EU. The seat is the throne, the headquarters, which is America. And his kingdom was full of darkness, because you're going to have famine, economic collapse, and wars. And they gnawed their tongues for pain. And to point out one is, this is the seat of the beast. America is the end-all be-all for foreign policy. And they're used by Amalek as the throne of iniquity, right? So let's go back to this. Let's go back to this interview, right? Through the Spirit and Power. I thought I was showing the screen, right? That's okay, right? But we'll pull this up and we'll go back to this interview with Ted Cruz.
Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out
Israel come from. Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what, hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
And so is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about.
So, hey, Tucker Carlson knows some stuff, man. He called it a political entity. He knows that those people aren't the people of the Lord, man. He knows that. This guy, man, he's walking on a tightrope. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they said that this guy committed suicide, man. We found Tucker Carlson. He got into a car accident. He spinned off a bridge. He overdosed, right? I wouldn't be surprised. Tucker Carlson found dead, right? He was robbed to death by a stick-up kid in New York when he was walking home. We send our condolences. So this guy, man, he's moving pretty bold. Now, we're going to dive into some quick history because listen to what he said.
This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel. Do you not know what Israel is?
Do you not know what Israel is? That's what he said. Do you not know? You don't know, right? Israel is a people, right? Israel is a people. Israel is the land through the Spirit and Power of Yahweh Shemel Shai was made for the people, right? Not the people for the land. Now, let's get the classic first and foremost, right? Slocky, let's get this. Like I want Genesis 28, right? Slocky 32 and 28. It reads, and he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed. So first of all, Bible 101 teaches you that Israel is an actual man. And if you descend from this man, then you are Israel. Now we're Israel, even if we're not in the current land of Israel. We're Israelites. If I was in Canada, I'm Israel, right? If I'm in Jamaica, I'm Israel. If I'm in China, I'm Israel. If I'm in England, I'm Israel. If I'm in Africa, I'm Israel. I'm gonna be Israel regardless because of the lineage, not necessarily the landmass. Just because you're in that land doesn't make you Israel. And if it did, they wouldn't bomb the Palestinians. They want to destroy the Israelites that came over there, man, and was living in Dimona. If that's all it took, then anybody could be Israel. But you have to be, again, from a particular lineage, right? You have to be from a particular lineage of men. Let's go to Psalms 135. Psalms chapter 135 and verse number 4. For Yahweh hath chosen Jacob unto himself, and Israel for his peculiar treasure, right? Now that land was given to the seed of Jacob. That land was not given to Amalek, right? We're going to go into that history on how Amalek got that land. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon first, though, before we get that, right? That land was actually given unto us. That actually starts with the promise that the Lord gave Abraham back in Genesis, the 15th chapter. Now, what Amalek likes to do is he likes to do something called there's something called the Greater Israel Conspiracy, right? The Greater Israel Conspiracy teaches that the so-called Jew Amalek, in order for him to further prove that he is the people of the Bible, he has to take over the boundaries that the Lord promised Abraham. And that's why he also wages a lot of these wars, because people are beginning to question and people are beginning to read. And through AI and information and technological advances, they know that if they're just to be relegated in that small strip of land they have now, then how could they be the people of the Bible? So part of them going to these wars to take down Iran, to take down Palestine, to take down Lebanon, is for them to take over that boundary of land that the Lord actually gave Abraham. And they believe they're justified in doing that because they're saying that they're the people of the Bible. And this is the land that is rightfully ours to begin with. Now, they're using the American money and technology that they created through the Federal Reserve to further push this agenda. And I had that. Where is this at? Now we got a lot we want to get into. All right, where is this at? Okay. See this? Now, this is inside Greater Israel, right? Quote unquote. Myths and truths behind a long time Zionist fantasy. It's a fantasy for a so-called white man to take over the land given to the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, woman, and child. Right? It says, the term Greater Israel refers to the idea of a Jewish state expanding across large parts of the Middle East. That's why you have these wars. As a supposed reincarnation of what the Bible describes as the territory of the ancient Israelite tribes. Hey, we're the ancient Israelites, man. It feels good saying that. It feels better knowing that. We're the ancient Israelite tribes, right? The Israelite kingdom, or the land promised by God to Abraham and his descendants, right? There are at least 3 versions of Greater Israel in the Bible. So again, they're trying to go back to Genesis, the 15th chapter, and justify themselves taking that land, right? So let's prove that. Let's go to Genesis 15, right? That's why Ted Cruz said that, right? So let's get this in Genesis, the 15th chapter. And I'm going to get straight to the point because we brought this out plenty of times, right? Genesis chapter 15 and verse number 18. And the same day Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, right? From the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. All right, let's pull this up on the map. So here's what they call Greater Israel. Now, really, this is the land that the Lord promised Abraham. You see that land that you currently know of as Israel on a geopolitical level, those are not the true boundaries. The true boundaries are from the Nile River through Egypt all the way to the Euphrates River. That's the land that was given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, when we take back that land, that's going to be the headquarters for the nation of Israel and the earth. But Amalek is saying that they're the people of the Bible and that they have the right to take this land. So now, how did they get this land? Right? Make sure the screen is showing. Okay. So I'm going to play this clip. And I played this before. Right? I'm going to play it again. Right? I'm going to play it again. I'm going to go back to that interview, but I'm going to play this. Like I said, we got a lot we want to get into. Right? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Now, this clip right here, this is from TRT World, Britain's role in the occupation of Palestine. So we're not going to do an in-depth breakdown on Amalek, of course, but we do understand that Amalek is an ancient nation that descend from the Edomites. The Edomites is the biblical name of the so-called white man. This is Bible 101 for you brothers that are new in the truth, or you sisters that are new. This is fundamental knowledge that allow you to understand prophecy and what the world is currently going through. You must understand the history and the ancient accounts in order to understand what's going on in the earth right now. With that being said, Amalek, through process of time, they converted to
land seizures and
they converted to what you call Judaism, which is the practice of the law, statutes, and the commandments around 840 AD or so, 848 AD, right? They took over the law, statutes, and commandments. They became the people of the Bible through customs, not through blood, through customs and through laws and tradition. And in process of time, you had other empires like the Ottoman Empire that took over. And after the Ottoman Empire was taken out, then you had this land that the Zionists wanted to claim as the rightful land of the people of the Bible, right? Whereas for the Jewish man, they wanted this land. So let's play this clip. And Esau, they set this whole thing up. This was all the plan through the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, which are Jewish bankers.
When you think Palestine,
right?
You may think violence, land seizures, and a decades-long Israeli occupation. But what you might not know is that another country played a driving role in causing the region's conflict: Imperial Britain.
Look at that, when the white man arrived. Check that out. And Edomite made this more than likely.
From 1516 to at least 1917, Palestine was under the control of the Ottoman Empire.
See that? It was under control of the Ottoman Empire, one of the so-called greatest empires to ever exist. Amalek wasn't there during that time. From the Middle Ages on out.
A religiously diverse land where Christians, Muslims, and Jews lived alongside one another at peace for the most part.
Now, when it says Christians, Muslims, and Jews, that's not talking about the Jewish man.
Then in the early 1900s, a small number of European Jews were trying to drum up support for Zionism and the establishment of a Jewish homeland. Just 20 European Jews were trying to drum up peace for the most part. Then in the early 1900s, a small number...
The early 1900s, a small number, it's a lot of people right there, a small number. And who allowed them to have a voice? Well, money talks. Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, these bankers that operated a lot of the elites' economy and their finances, they had a lot of power, right? They had a lot of power.
A number of European Jews were trying to drum up support for Zionism and the establishment of a Jewish homeland. Just 20 years before, in 1897, the movement led by Theodor Herzl was initiated at a conference in Switzerland. They decided that they would advocate for a Jewish homeland in Palestine, but the movement at the time didn't have much support.
Why would you need support if you're the people of the Bible? Isn't the Most High supposed to take you and put you in that land? Isn't that Isaiah 14:1? For the Lord to have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. Isn't the Lord going to set you in that own land? Why would you not be allowed to get that land because you didn't get the support from Edomites? That further proves that they're not the people of the Bible, along with every other thing that's going on the earth today.
And at the time, only around 8% of the population of Palestine was Jewish. At the same time, Arab nationalism was on the rise and many Palestinians wanted an independent state. Imperial Britain knew of both the ambitions of Zionists and Palestinians and used the situation to bolster their own interests. In 1914, amid World War I, Britain went to war with the Ottoman Empire. And in 1915, Henry McMahon, Britain's representative in Cairo, approached Arab leaders with a proposal. Britain would agree to Arab independence if they helped fight against the Ottomans. Then in 1917, Britain's Foreign Secretary wrote a one-paragraph letter to Walter Rothschild, a leading figure.
See that? He wrote a letter to the Rothschilds, a leading figure in the British Jewish community.
In the British Jewish community. 1980. It read, His Majesty's government views with favour the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavours to facilitate the achievement of this object. This letter became known as the Balfour Declaration, and it was
Balfour Declaration. I had it pulled up, but they just showed it, right? The Balfour well, I can't, since I'm showing the screen the way I'm showing it, but you can look up the Balfour Declaration. That was Rothschild, the Rothschild essentially saying, you can have the land, right? We're going to get that land to the Jewish man. That's what that was.
Facilitate the achievement of this object. This letter became known as the Balfour Declaration.
So this says Palestine for the Jews. Official sympathy. How do you have official sympathy? Well, we need official sympathy, but we're going to get it from the Most High, not from man. The Lord said in Jeremiah 15:5, who shall bemoan thee? Who shall go aside to ask what thou doest? They get an official sympathy letter, right? Mr. Balfour was sent the following letter to Lord Rothschild in regard to the establishment of a national home in Palestine for the Jewish people. So this is all man-made. Right?
And it was in stark contrast to a declaration of the British and French armies in 1918, which assured the people of Syria, Palestine, and Mesopotamia of autonomy. So what was going on? Britain had promised independence to the Arabs that lived in Palestine, but then also promised a homeland for Jews on land that was already inhabited.
Well, that's being double talked. You can't promise a land to two people. That's why I read in Psalms 2, they have a double heart. Huh? Let me get this quick precept in the book of Maccabees. I'm going to get back to this. They promised the land to the Arabs if they helped fight the Ottoman Turks, and then backhanded them and told Amalek, y'all can also have the land after we used them to help us fight our war. Right? It's madness, man. Right? It's absolute hypocrisy, witchcraft, and madness. Right? Let's get this. This is Slakia. First Maccabees chapter 7 and verse number 18. Right? First Maccabees 7 and 18. Wherefore the fear and dread of them fell upon all the people, who said, there is neither truth nor righteousness in them, for they have broken the covenant and oath that they made. That's plain. There is no truth or righteousness in them. They have broken the oath and the covenant which they have made. Let's play the rest of this.
That lived in Palestine, but then also promised a homeland for Jews on land that was already inhabited. Was Britain just transferring land that did not belong to them to whoever they liked? When the
just transferring land to whoever you want, even if it don't belong to them.
Ottoman Empire collapsed in 1918, the League of Nations gave Britain a mandate or administrative control of Palestine in 1920.
So you have the Balfour Declaration.
The League of Nations gave,
and then you have the League of Nations. They had the mandate for Palestine. These are key legislative acts that allowed Amalek to be where they are now. Now, ultimately, this is the Most High's hand. The Lord is setting this up. Remember, the prophecy says that the land will be given to the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So the Most High set this up to begin with, but there were laws and legislation that had to have it play out on the earth and the land of the living. Right, let's get that in Luke chapter 21. Right? Let's get that in Luke 21 and 24. We get straight to the point. And I still got to play the rest of this interview. Right? Luke chapter 21 and 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, meaning the Israelites, right? And the Roman Jewish wars, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So the times, meaning the years of the Gentiles of the other nations, is from the time that we were exiled out of our land until the time that Yahushua ultimately returns. So they're going to be in our land. It was prophecy for them to be in our land. That's why you had the Balfour Declaration. That's why you had the Zionist appeal. That's why you had the mandate for Palestine. All this was set up by Amalek to allow them to have a voice to take that land over, really to fulfill prophecy, right? That's also Joel, the 3rd chapter. Joel chapter 3 and verse number 2. I'll start at 1. Joel 3 and 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. So the Most High is going to wake us up through this truth, give us understanding, give us knowledge. At that same time, right, in verse number 2, it reads, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land. And they parted the land of God. They parted, gave some to these people. They parted it, gave some to these people. Right? So the Most High is going to, that's why you have all this conflict in the Middle East. The Most High said, I'm going to bring everybody there. And I'm going to destroy them in the day of judgment. Let's go to Daniel chapter 11. Right? This Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 39. Daniel 11 and 39. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with the strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many and shall divide the land for gain. So people that was in cahoots with the so-called white man, he gave power to his God that he worshiped, the God of forces, power, munitions, war, destruction, right? Through plundering and through pillaging. And if you made a league with him, then he helped you get a portion of the earth. He divided the land for gain, right? That's Daniel 11 and 39. He divided the land for gain. King of the North, right?
Britain and whatever they liked. When the Ottoman Empire collapsed in 1918, the League of Nations gave Britain a mandate or administrative control of Palestine in 1920. It was a dual mandate. On one hand, they were to act on behalf of Palestinians, but on the other hand, they were to act on behalf of the international community of Jews who wanted to establish a homeland. Britain then drew up arbitrary borders, transferring the eastern bank of the Jordan River to the Hashemites. It was under the British mandate that Jews from Europe began to immigrate to Palestine and buy up land.
See that? That's where they start getting there. They came from Germany, Ukraine, Poland, Romania, and they start buying up land. They got funded by all these other Zionists. They put their money together, the Rothschilds, and said, y'all start buying up the land, gentrifying the land to Israel.
The Jewish population in Palestine grew tenfold, from 60,000 to more than 600,000 between 1918 and 1947. Many Palestinians saw the mass influx of Jews as a European colonial movement. So as one might expect, it led to conflict. In 1929, riots broke out at the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. Both Palestinians and Jews lost lives. In 1936, after Jewish immigration increased even more riots broke out.
Yeah, hell yeah, you got riots breaking out, man. You're being colonized. If I was a so-called Palestinian, a Philistine, right, an Ishmaelite, and you go from 60,000 to 600,000 in a span of a few years, yeah, it's going to be tight, man. You're taking over the land. You got businesses. We're getting pushed out. They done gentrified and divided the land for gain.
This time, the British were heavy-handed and killed between 2,000 and 5,000 Palestinians. A Royal British Commission concluded that because Britain had allowed mass immigration, Palestine had two distinct societies that couldn't be reconciled. They recommended a partition of the land. The Arab Higher Committee rejected this, saying it was all their land.
That goes back to Daniel 11 and 39, where they divided the land for gain. The so-called white man. They parted the land of the Most High. Let's get Ezekiel 35, right? 36 and 5, rather, right? Let's get another classic. Ezekiel chapter 36 and 5. So Ted Cruz, man, he's just a low level imbecile, right? Utter folly. Ezekiel 36 and 5. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey. So they said we're going to appoint the land of God into their possession. Balfour Declaration, British Mandate, Royal Reconcile,
Britain then banned the Arab Higher Commission. They introduced the White Paper of 1939. It stated that Palestine should be a binational state inhabited by Jews and Palestinians, but that Jewish immigration would be limited for 5 years. But illegal immigration still went on, and violence continued to erupt. And when Britain couldn't handle the mess they had a part in creating, they handed the country back to the UN in 1948. The UN then decided to partition Palestine. The story gets a lot more complicated after this, but the British promising land which already belonged to Palestinians to other people has played a part in decades of conflict and bloodshed.
And then what happened in 1948, right? What happened in 1948, right? Let's pull this up. That's when they were given the land, man. The United Nations, right, gave them that land. So let's go back to this. This was the Balfour Declaration that was by the Rothschilds way back in the early 1900s, right? Then you had the United Nations, you had the British Mandate, you had all of this that was given, right? Now, one of the men that played a major role, where's this devil at? Let's pull up this guy, right? Benjamin Netanyahu, right? Now, his name is not Netanyahu, right? His name is actually, what's his real name? Let's just type in real name. He has an Amalekite last name, right? Let's pull up his, see, now it's harder to find. What is his real name? Right? See, it was easy to find. Now they're making it hard to find. Right? Let's see. Let's pull this guy up now. Let's pull up his father because they're making it hard to find. I had his father pulled up. Right? Benjamin Netanyahu. Right? Born Benjamin Milikowski. This is his father. Right? Was a Polish-born. How are you the prime minister and de facto king of Israel, but your father's Polish-born? Israeli encyclopedist, historian, and medievalist. He served as a professor of history at Cornell, a scholar of Judaic history. So he was fitting. He was fitting to help further push that Zionist agenda. He was also an activist in the revisionist Zionism movement who lobbied in the United States to support the creation of the Jewish state. So why are you so surprised that Trump and Netanyahu are best friends and Trump is his damn slave? Because Netanyahu's father been doing this and his father been doing this. He lobbied that the United States should help support the Jewish man in the land of Israel. To this very day, you have that devil right? You got this devil in the office. Benjamin Netanyahu's family originally had the surname Milikowski when they came to Palestine from Poland in the 1920s. So how are they the people of the Lord? How are you the people of the Lord when you migrated from Poland to that land? And his father, he played a key role in the relationship between Israel and America to this day. And his son is further living off of that. And we started we went into the history from the Ottoman Empire. Really, we started with the conversion of the Khazarian Empire, all the way to the Ottoman Empire, all the way up to the the Balfour Declaration, the British Mandate, all the way up into the United Nations, gave them that land. Right? So they're not the people of the Most High. Let's get a quick precept. Because the Bible tells you how the Most High is going to bring his people back in that land. It is not going to be through the laws of man. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse number 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds of heaven. Slaki, from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So the prophecy tells you how the true Jews are going to get back in that land. It didn't say, and he shall send his airplanes. He shall send his jets. He shall send his ships. The Bible clearly tells you, and he shall send his angels, and they shall gather together his elect. So anybody that had eyes to see, you can clearly see that they cannot be the people of the Bible. Even how they got that land, it doesn't line up with prophecy. Another prophecy says when the true Jews get that land, that there won't be any more wars in the earth. Right? Let's prove that. This is the book of Micah, chapter 4, and verse number 3. Here's the prophecy about when the true biblical Israelites get that land. Now he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Hold on. The Bible's letting you know, man. When the true Lord returns, Yahushua, and he establishes sovereignty in the earth, it says nation won't learn war anymore. Well, they're still learning war. Aren't they still learning war? Aren't they still advancing nuclear capabilities, nuclear technology, weapons of mass destruction, nuclear warheads? They're still learning war. So how could these people be the people of the Lord? Make it make sense, right? So let's play this interview again. All right, I wasn't showing the screen again, but Salakia. Let's go back to this interview, right? As we wind down. Right? Where is this at? This is the worst interview I've ever seen by a U.S. senator. So I'm gonna go back a little bit and play it. Ted Cruz was pressing them out. It's like your Tucker Carlson was pressing them out.
My support for Israel come from, number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
well, hold on.
No,
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
Now you know what that's talking about. Why is there a government of Israel? How did they start? Why does America want to support them? That goes back to the Zionist movement. And America supporting that wicked greater Israel agenda where they could take over all the lands and fulfill a prophecy that doesn't pertain to them, but that pertains unto us. But he's a low-level Edomite anyway.
Christian, I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
No, and we went into that. God, the Most High, was speaking about the people. When he was going to bless Israel, he wasn't talking about the land. He was talking about the lineage that came from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, ultimately to Yahushua.
And so is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yet nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the
God's
descendants of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
You heard that? You see that? And Tucker Carlson, he knew the answer, man. See, the Most High was putting the spirit on him. Listen to the question he asked him.
And so is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yet nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
So the nation is the people of Israel. Now listen to this question.
Nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And
See that? See that? He said it's the nation that God is referring to as Genesis. Is that talking about the country of Israel right now? And this idiot, man, I'm gonna just come out and say it. This idiot came out and said, yes, it is. No, it's not. It's talking about us, man. The true Jews, the people of the Most High, of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, the salt of the earth, man. Now, on the contrary, the Lord said, I'm not going to pull it up on the screen, but here's what the Most High said about the Jewish man, right? Here's what he said, this Exodus, right? You want to talk about him? Let's talk about him, right? Let's go to Exodus real quick, chapter 17 and 15, right? This is the book of Exodus, chapter 17 and verse number 15. It reads, and Moses built an altar and called the name of it Yahweh Nissi. For he said, because Yahweh hath sworn that Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. So the people in the land now, those are Amalekites. And it was set up that the Most High will have war with them from generation to generation. And the Lord is having war with them right now. But the Lord is using Iran, right? And ultimately, the Lord is going to use Russia. The Lord is going to use the other kings of the East. He's going to use China. He's going to use North Korea. He's going to use all of these nations as part. Remember, those are his armies. But the ultimate war is going to be when Yahushua returns with the angels. And then also, we, Most High willing, as joint heirs with Yahushua, we're also going to be partakers of that war from generation to generation with Amalek. Right? Let's get another precept on Amalek. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 25 and 17. Deuteronomy chapter 25 and 17. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when ye were come forth out of Egypt. You're commanded to remember that. If you don't remember what Amalek did, you're going off. And you need to go find out. Go find out and read what Amalek did, man. Where do I find it? You better go find out. The Lord told you to remember it. And you're going off if you don't remember it. What Amalek did unto you. Go search that out. It says, remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way when ye were come forth out of Egypt. And the Lord said, remember the Sabbath day. The Lord also said, remember what Amalek did, huh? What the Jewish man did to you. Don't forget it. Verse number 18, how he met thee by the way and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not God. So he came out against us when we were weary, coming out of Egypt, and he hit the hindmost of us, man. How much of a coward move is that? To attack a people when they're weary and attack the hindmost. You don't go after the soldiers. You go after the back and you murder a little bit of women and children. Just a wicked coward move. When we're faint and weary. No courage to stand up to the men. Verse number 19. Here's the point. Deuteronomy 25 and 19. Therefore it shall be when Yahweh thy God hath given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, and the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget it, man. The Most High said you have to blot out that name. They're going to extinct. It's over. The Lord said, thou shalt not forget it. You remembered Mother's Day, you remembered Father's Day, you remember what time you got to go to work tomorrow, and you remember what, when you left your wallet, where your keys are, how much money in your bank account, you forgot, or you remembered this. You remember all these things, carnal things. The Most High, he's telling you to remember this. He said, thou shalt not forget it. Tell your son about it. Talk to your women about it. Tell your children about it. Tell them what Amalek did unto us, man. The Lord said, don't forget it.
Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
He's the prime minister,
right?
What?
But just like America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump.
See, this guy just gives people smoke and mirrors. We went into how America is not ran by Donald Trump. Donald Trump has to check in, right? Trump has to check in. He's not the end all be all. Just because you hear Trump saying, well, I think I might bomb Iran, I think I won't. Stop believing he has all this power, man. He's just a puppet for the Amalekites. Look at him. Look at this. This is how it always is, man. When they have these inaugurations, just because you see the parade, you might see Mariah Carey singing, you might see the damn HBCU marching band and confetti at the inauguration. There's deeper, darker, what's the word I'm looking for? Events that go on, man, during those inaugurations. And they have to meet, like Putin said, they got to meet with these guys with these dark suits. He was talking about Amalek. They have to meet with these guys with dark suits. And they're talking. What the hell are they talking about, man? Look at this. And he's not, I'm gonna tell you something. I could look at somebody and know when they're in charge, when they're in control. And he's not in control right now. His body language, his demeanor, you can tell he's very attentive. He's listening very carefully to what this guy has to say. He's definitely not in control. He's sitting down, they standing up, and they kind of on him. And why they standing like this? You know, this is like some ceremony thing. For them to all be standing like this. And remember, Putin said with these dark ties, he said they're black or they're blue. He got a blue, you got like a dark gray, you got a black and gray, you got a freaked out purple, you know? Look at these guys, man. He's absolutely not in control. Right? He is not in control at all. Look at this. Right? He's in a passive position. He's calling the shots. Right? Now there's one clip of let me pull this up. Look at this. With a damn yarmulke on. Why are you surprised that Trump is backing up Israel, man? That's part of the agenda. Remember, Trump said that he's the chosen one. And he indeed may be the chosen one to bring the world to the brink of a nuclear holocaust, man. He's sitting there with a yarmulke on. Look at this. Look at this. This is ridiculous. Right? This place is finished, man. Right? This place is finished. He's supposed to be the leader of the free world. The leader of the free world, an American. He's the commander-in-chief. Right? He's the commander-in-chief. Look at this. So he has to check in, man. Right? He has to check in. Look at this. He has to push his seat in. Look at him pushing this seat in. You want water, sir? Can I get you something to eat, sir? It sure is hot in here, sir. Can I get you some cold lemonade? So he's like the butler. Look at him pushing in his chair. They're in the White House. So this guy, right, they got something on this guy. He is totally not in control. So let's go back to this interview, right? We want to get a few more precepts and we wind it down, right? He's absolutely not in control. Let's play this. Oh, that's not what I want. Salakia. I'm going to go back to the interview. That's what I want. Because the Most High put a spirit on Ted Cruz, man. Right? And he put a spirit on Tucker Carlson.
It's a democratic country that elected,
he's the prime minister,
right?
What?
But just like, you know, America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
This is silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
you believe
Israel.
That's what God was talking about
Yes.
in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying,
Whoa,
I think,
whoa. You heard that? Right?
Thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist. Country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
this is
there.
silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
You believe
Israel.
that's what God was talking about
Yes.
in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
That country has existed since when? Since 1948, man. Since 1940. He pressing them out. Man. Right? He in his mitt, how they say, man. He pressing them out. Look at that face, man. Hey, this guy, he thought it was going to be an interview. They were going to talk about, the Yankees and, maybe golf, maybe a little bit of foreign policy, maybe kind of talk about, what the world is going to be like with the American policy in the next, few years. He wasn't expecting this. Look at his face. He was not expecting to be pressed out by another Edomite, man. Now I'm going to get this precept in Isaiah, the 19th chapter. The Lord said he's going to have the Egyptians fight against the Egyptians, right? This Isaiah, let's get this in Isaiah, the 19th chapter. Isaiah chapter 19 and verse number 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And these are the modern day Egyptians. This is modern day Egypt. The elites are Pharaoh, right? And we're in captivity again. We were brought here on ships. And you see the Lord setting the Egyptians against the Egyptians. Every man's sword against his fellow. And the Lord does that, man. Right? The Lord does that through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Right? The Lord does that. This is Judges.
For thousands.
Judges chapter 7 and verse number 22. Right? Judges 7 and 22. The Lord would always have our enemies at certain times, have them fight and kill each other. Sometimes we would just watch. Sometimes we would just spoil them, right? And take the goods afterwards. You can read about that in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. The Lord is going to turn them against each other. We're going to read it in Judges, the 7th chapter. Judges chapter 7 and 22. And the 300 blew the trumpets, and Yahweh set every man's sword against his fellow, even throughout all the host. And the host fled to Beth Shittah and Zererath, and to the border of Abel Mohalah unto Tabat. So the Lord said that he set every man's sword against his fellow, right? He will divide a kingdom, man. He will set you against your own brother, your fellow soldier, have you fight each other, kill each other. And he has them doing this, man. There's an actual demon. Let's get the classic. We like to bring out Judges as well. Judges, the 9th chapter. Right? Judges chapter 9 and verse number 23. Then the Most High sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the men of Shechem. And the men of Shechem dealt treacherously with Abimelech. Now, when you read Judges, the 9th chapter, remember, the men of Shechem and Abimelech were allies. They were strong allies. Abimelech slew the other sons of Gideon. Abimelech stole the kingdom. He murdered and he came into power. And Shechem helped him do that, the men of Shechem. But the Most High judged them years later for the murders that they did. And he started putting them against each other. The Lord sent the evil spirit, a demon. And now these people who were once allies and the destruction of the sons of God now became enemies within their own kingdom. That's Judges, the 7th chapter that happened, right? That's Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. You're seeing it now. This would never have happened in the 1500s, 1600s, man. The 1700s, the 1800s. Hell, even the early 1900s, man. But now you got every man's sword against his fellow. Let me get this again in 2nd Ezra, right? The 6th chapter. All right, here's another precept. Then I'm gonna get another one, right? Most I will. 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and 24. At that time, shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. So the Most High said, in the days of war and judgment, friends are going to fight one against another like enemies. And these are two Edomites, man. They're supposed to be friends. They're Edomites. They're of the same nation. Both got suits and ties on. Both come from money. And you would think these guys would love each other, man. But the Most High said, at that time, I'm going to make friends fight one against another like enemies. Let's go to the book of Obadiah. All right, let's go to Obadiah. Obadiah is only one chapter. Verse number, I'm going to start at 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. And Tucker Carlson deceived him, man. This senator, he didn't know what he was getting himself involved in. Right? And prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. So the Most High is going to have what you call friendly fire, division internally, right? Internal conflict. All that is going to happen in the last days, right? It's beautiful to see the so-called white man against the so-called white man. We've been seeing him against us for so long. Now it's time to watch him destroy himself like a damn virus.
Nation of Israel, yet nations exists, and he's discussing a nation.
And they had, and first of all, neither one of them have no business talking about this. If you wanted somebody to come, you should have picked an Israelite, man. Chiefly one of the brothers that be on the highways and byways. And it should have been 3 chairs there, right? Really 4, maybe 5, because that brother, he gonna need 2 readers, right? Maybe a guy that make a point, and maybe another teacher, man, in case that guy got to go somewhere. They should have had a whole camp came up there, man. If y'all really want to know what's going on, and most of these people do. Tucker Carlson knows who the Israelites are. There's a let me see if I can find this. Let me see if I can find this. Bear with me. Bear with me. There's an older video. I don't even know if I can find it. Where Tucker Carlson actually ran across a camp. He ran across a great millstone. And it was on YouTube. I don't know if it's there anymore. Right? But he actually ran across them. So he knows who the Israelites are. This was probably over 10 years ago. I can't find it. But the point is, he knows who the Israelites are, right? He's met camps. He's met brothers on the highways and byways. He's talked to them, right? So I can't find it, but that's okay. So he knows, man. A lot of these questions, these are set up questions. This is a setup because he knows the truth. He's not in the truth, but he knows the truth. And these are his last days, man. They might give him a warning. Look, Tucker Carlson, no more interviews like that again. If you do another interview like that, you're going to come up missing.
Entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yet nations exists, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the
God's
descendants of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
He's the prime minister.
Right.
What?
But just like, America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
This is
there.
silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
You believe
Israel.
that's what God was talking about
Yes.
in Genesis.
I do, but
That country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay.
That's not what it says. First of all, that is what it says. We went through that. We went through those precepts, right? See, that's what the Most High said. Let me get this. Oh, these damn devils. That's not what it says. Now they got authority. Now he got authority over what it says. When he didn't even know what it says, and whoever bless you will be blessed. Whoever curse you will be cursed. He didn't know that. 30 seconds ago. Now he has authority to say, well, that's not what the Bible says. So you have no business having the Bible, man. Let me get that in Psalms chapter 50. Right? Let's get the classic. Psalms chapter 50 and 16. But unto the wicked, God said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Meaning, what are you doing with quoting the Bible? What are you doing having this conversation? You're a hypocrite, a murderer, a liar, a thief, a molester, a homosexual, a creep, a demon, a liar, a double-tongued, two-faced freak. And yet you're the one to tell people what's in the Bible and what's not in the Bible, right? Oh, this is coming in hot. Right, you see that? The brother sent it to me. All praise to the Most High. Now, this is Tucker Carlson, the water for that, right? The brother sent it. This is Tucker Carlson meeting Israelites, man. Look at this. Right? So you can see that. That's him right there on your right. And that's those are the brothers from Great Millstone. So he went out there and he talked to those brothers, man. You know, now I don't know who sent them out there. I don't know if he went to, inquiring minds would like to know if he came out on his own or whatever. But he went out there. So he knows about the truth. That's why he's asking these questions. A lot of these Edomites, what we tell them is stick with them. It resonates because they know it's the truth. Right? Even Pontius Pilate knew that Yahushua was innocent. And he washed his hands and he said, I have nothing to do with this, man. Paraphrasing. Even Herod found no fault in him. He just mocked him and sent him away. And those are chief devils. Even Pilate's woman had a dream. She said, I have suffered many things in a dream because of this man. Have nothing to do with that just man, paraphrasing. A lot of the interactions that the men of the Lord have with these people, it does more than you actually think. Some people, they can't sleep at night, man. There was one Edomite, he made a song. He said, am I an Edomite? You got Edomites inboxing brothers, I'll be a slave. So this word is hitting home, man. So that whenever this conversation was probably like 12, 13 years ago, it stuck with him,
Since we came on YouTube, it's all about the elect. I know you're from somewhere, right? You're a news answer. Yeah, expect to the news. What is it? You know about us. Are you Jewish? Are you Jewish? What are you? Italian? Christian. Oh, really? What does the word Christian mean? No, somebody follows Christ. Okay, good. He says someone who follows Christ. You talking about the Christ in the Bible? I think so, yeah. Okay, what color is that Christ? No idea. No idea. So you don't read the Bible? Yeah, I read the whole thing, actually. You read the whole Bible? Yes, I did. So then you would know the color Christ. I don't remember that thing there. I may have missed it. Give me that. Since he missed it, we're going to refresh his memory. Since he read the whole Bible. Revelation chapter 1.
Everybody say they always read the whole Bible.
And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot. That's John the Revelator seeing a vision of the Lord coming down from heaven. Clothed the garment down to the foot, and girded with two lashes with golden girdles.
See that? So he knows about this truth, man. It's lucky. He knows about this truth. He knows about the Most High, the color of Yahushua, the true people of the Bible. So for him to do this interview, again, he knows the answers to these questions, man. Right? And it's really to embarrass this guy, man. And this is an embarrassment to America as a whole. You got people saying this is the first loss that America took in World War III. This interview, man. This is a major loss, major L that they took. So I'm going to play this.
To Donald Trump, the same principle
This is silly. I'm talking about the political entity.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist and then it was recreated.
There was a time that the country didn't exist. We're talking about the people. The Lord said that there is no end of all the people in Ecclesiastes 4:16. The Lord said in Jeremiah 31 and 35 on down, if the heaven above can be measured, and if the ordinance of the sun and the moon cease, then the people of Israel will cease from being a nation before me forever. That's in Jeremiah 31. The Lord said in Sirach 37 and 25 that the days of Israel are innumerable. The Lord said in Isaiah 49:13 on down that they may forget thee, but I will not forget thee. We're always going to be here, man. Talking about there was a time when you didn't exist. Now he's talking about the country, the landmass, but we're talking about the people. We always going to be here. You can't get rid of us, man. And the scriptures say the more that they afflicted them, the more they grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
It just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is.
Damn. You don't even know where it is. Hey, but guess what? We know where it is, man, because we the people of the Most High anyway, man. Right? The Lord said, against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, man. So we know these nations have no business going into the Bible. This is complete and utter confusion. This is a black eye on America. And, you know, this guy should be ashamed to call himself a senator, man. He knows nothing about the Bible. He knows nothing about Iran. And America, they're using this Amalekite propaganda but as a means to actually go to war with Iran, even though these people are not the people of the Bible, man. Right? They're not the people of the Bible. There's only one people, and that's the children of Israel. Right? 2 Samuel chapter 7 and 23. It reads, and what one nation in the earth is like thy people, even like Israel, whom the Most High went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible for thy land before thy people, whom thou redeemest to thee from Egypt, from the nations and their gods. So with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh. Bahashima Mashiach Wamalak Yabushai, Most High willing you are edified. Kwam Yashala. Shalom.